30,000 kilometers, 121 days, 23 countries, 7 tires, 87 refuelings, a total weight of 215 kilograms, and my GASGAS ES 700. My journey started here in Austria, where I've been working for motorcycle development since 2011. The idea to travel with the motorcycle is already in my head since years. When I first saw the concept of the ES 700, I was excited and I knew this is the bike to go. My journey started here in Austria on 26th of May in 2022. But the date wasn't a coincidence. 3 years before, I had a bad crash with a motorcycle. And so, on this second birthday, I wanted to go on a new journey. One which turned out to be a lifetime experience. 4 months full of traveling, fun and challenges were ahead of me. So, I said goodbye to my parents, to the colleagues and the R&D, and yeah, I was ready to go for an adventure. After leaving my hometown, going through Germany and Denmark, the first stop brought me to Sweden. It was the first time on my trip sleeping in a shelter, and it was freezing cold. Riding off-road through the woods, passing by lakes and the typical red houses made me feel free and realize for the first time that my journey just had started and that I'd be on holiday for a long time.
Send me section.
The next destination was Norway. I had to buy a new sleeping bag because it was all-time cold then. A few days later, I visited some friends there. They came from Austria and we rode together from south of Norway to the northwest point. At the campsites or while camping, it was the 4th night. We did some fire at the campsite and my dad wrote me a message. He sent me a picture that I am at the newspapers at hometown. I was like, oh my god, I'm getting a big influencer now. I was like, for the home crowd in Austria, what, Fabian is going for a journey alone with the bike? And I was like, no way. I don't want to be this because I'm not the type of influencer somehow. But yeah, in the end, I was quite proud to see myself one time in the newspaper. And yeah, crazy. Up to the North Cape, the side winds was so strong and I struggled the bike to handle because the wind was blowing there and I was kind of 40 degrees off the angle and crazy feelings, but I survived it and in the end a good experience to see how strong the winds are there. Crazy. After days of long riding, we enjoyed to ride all day long with sun because the sun was not going down anymore. But the negative side is it's exhausting. We were riding 10 hours a day. Because of the cold weather, everyone was pushing hard. Of course, there were some discussions then, but yeah, in the end, we were just friends, had fun, enjoyed the roads there. Yeah, of course, we had some beers in the evening, expensive ones. The alcohol is not the cheapest here, and I will never forget this. It was quite funny. Next country was Finland. I left my friends, but I immediately met some new friends, the reindeers, which were running in front of me. Quite funny and really nice to watch. I did a lot of off-road in Finland. A smile on the face all day long because the bike is running smooth and do whatever you want. You can pull it out wherever you stuck, and for me the bike The Strawberry, the GASGAS ES 700 is a super reliable bike and just the perfect partner for me on this trip. Poland, nice sceneries with sandy sections, small bridges, a lot of single trails and of course some situations where the bike wants to sleep a little bit, so small crashes all the way. No big issues at all, nothing crazy. And yeah, it's crazy how time flies on the bike when you have fun. I had to organize the 10K service already in Poland, and at the 10K service I changed the standard things: oil filter, checking the valves of the engine. And because I was not gentle to her, I really showed her the good side of riding. I had to change the chain and the sprockets also, but after that I was really surprised that nothing else has happened. Really amazing, and I was ready to go on again. In Slovakia, I have no words. I got really lost in the beauty of this place. In the evening, I rode up a hill, I set up the tent and watched the sun go down. The next day, I arrived in Romania and took the GASGAS ES 700, the first time over 2000 meters of altitude, with gravel roads, steep uphills, funny rides, and what looked like a nice camping spot in the evening turned out in the morning that I was sleeping in a big cow pasture. I packed my tent and everything, but one cow was really interested in my luggage system. More interested than on the grass. It was a nice experience. After a few days, my dad visited me and we had the crazy idea to go up on the final hill of the Red Bull Romaniacs. I really showed her who is the rider. The difficulty of the climb was the last 5 meters was like a 90-degree wall. Even though with all the luggage, for 100% this bike made it up to the top. But I don't want to risk any injuries because I had big plans to go on. In Bulgaria, one time there was a native. He was super stoked to see me on my GASGAS ES 700, full of dirt, full of dust. And I wanted to reach a point on the top of a mountain, and he showed me the way with the motocross he owned. He showed me the way till at one point and we had a nice chat, and he said, go left up there, have fun. And I went up there, had a nice spot and a nice view and enjoyed the country Bulgaria. Best thing of traveling with the motorcycle is to meet all the friendly people, to see the different cultures. It's a great experience and I don't want to miss it. When I arrived in Greece, I smelled the salty air again since weeks, and I immediately jumped into the sea to cool down. I was feeling so free. It was just amazing, and I realized that I am living out of the luggage since 2 months already, and it's just 43 kilograms of luggage, and this is like nothing. And then you realize you don't need much to live. When I remembered that I was riding in a really cold area, like in the north part of Europe, I figured out how heavy it is to ride at the high temperatures, like in south of Greece. Brutal heat, it was just sweating all day long. I was not able to do camping because it was too hot. I really had to go in some hotels, and I had to buy bottles of waters. Otherwise I would not stay here now. And for one day I swapped my bike for a jet ski. But after that jet ski ride I was happy to go on with the GASGAS again. After the 2 hottest weeks in Greece, I slowly realized that it was time to go back home. I wasn't really sad about it, because I concentrated on the next destination, Italy. My time in Italy started with low air pressure. A nail in my front tire wanted to test my mechanical skills, but no worries, I fixed it right away. Me and my GASGAS were back on track. After that, I was ready again to tackle the mountains. I rode through dusty fields and typical Italian villages until I reached the top of the mountain to set up the camp for the night. When I arrived in France, the weather was shitty, but I didn't bother because the 20k service was just around the corner. On my way in France, I met a nice mechanic who supported me with a workbench, so I could do all my stuff by myself to make the 20k service. It's almost the same like the 10k, so changing oil, changing the oil filter, checking the valves, and of course with riding off-road and riding on the streets, the tires were really f***ed up and I need to change them. And also the brake pads were completely done. After a few hours, me and my GASGAS were in best shape to go home. On the last 100 kilometers, I realized that the past 4 months were over like nothing. Often we get so caught up in our daily lives and focus on work that sometimes we forget how less it takes to live completely free. I mean, I lived out of 43 kilograms of luggage at the best 121 days in my life. Never will forget this experience. I rode from the very north of Europe to the very south of Europe. I experienced from 0 degrees to 44 degrees of temperatures. I made a lot of campsites, doing wild camping, building up my mental strength in my head in this time really a lot, and met a lot of nice people. I could see how different Europe is. I was in 23 countries and none country was like the other. All it takes is the courage to go out there, and a reliable bike like the ES 700 has been for me. I rode with her in so many different terrains like sandy sections, single trails, muddy single trails, rocky streets, really big potholes in like Romania, crazy things. The bike was just doing well all the time, and even with the heat and even with the coldness and snowy roads, it's just overwhelming how many possibilities the bike can give you straight out of the factory. The ES 700 opens the door for a lifetime experience for everyone. Grab it and get out there.